Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for an important update on additional supports for students during this pandemic. With me today in person is Lorrie Jess, President of the Alberta School Boards Association. And joining us from his office in Southern Alberta is Dr. Wilco Tymensen, President of the College of Alberta School Superintendents. Due to technical difficulties, Dr. Tymensen will be joining us by phone. I would like to start by congratulating the school board trustees across Alberta who were elected on October 18th, and to acknowledge all candidates who put their names forward for public service. As a former school board trustee myself, I know that you are planners, you're communicators, you're educators, you're policymakers, and so much more. I look forward to working collaboratively with all of you to strengthen our world-class education system here in Alberta. Without a doubt, learning during this pandemic has been a challenge for the entire education community in Alberta, across Canada, and around the world. We know that being able to respond effectively to the needs of students as the public health situation changes is essential to their success. Alberta students deserve the best education possible, and we have supported students during every step of this pandemic. Today, I am pleased to provide updates on initiatives that are part of a continuum of supports to meet the ever-evolving challenges of this pandemic that will help students catch up from pandemic-caused learning disruptions and also help students continue to learn safely while at school. In May, Premier Kenney and I announced that $45 million would be available for school authorities to address learning disruptions caused by the pandemic. Today, I am pleased to announce that as part of Alberta's recovery plan, Alberta's government will distribute this funding at a rate of $490 per student for literacy or numeracy supports. Some students may qualify for both, and therefore the school authority would receive $980 per student for those students. This funding will allow schools to increase supports to improve writing, reading, and numeracy skills for younger students who have fallen behind during the pandemic. School authorities completed literacy and numeracy assessments earlier this school year and will be using this funding to offer focused programming that will go above and beyond classroom learning. School authorities have the flexibility to use funding to design programming interventions to best meet the needs of their students. This will supplement the level of support offered to students by introducing new programming, enhancing, or extending existing supports. This could mean increasing the intensity of programming for students, including moving to small group or one-on-one supports, hiring additional staff, implementing new numeracy programming for early year students, increasing targeted parent communication programs or involving parents in more programming, or ensuring staff who are providing these interventions to students have the necessary supports and tools that they need. Based on feedback we received from school authorities, the initial focus of this programming will be on students in grades 2 to 3 this fall, with targeted supports for students in grade 1 starting in February of 2022, once their assessments have been completed. With this funding in grades 2 and 3, approximately 38,000 students will be receiving literacy programming, and approximately 25,000 will receive numeracy programming, recognizing, as I said earlier, that some students would qualify for both supports. Once grade 1 students are assessed in the new year, we will know how many students in that grade will need additional supports. It is crucial to address learning challenges in the early years of a student's development. That's why I'm so pleased that we are able to provide these supports at this time in the pandemic and as the pandemic continues to evolve. And I'm also very, very pleased that we will be able to meet the needs of high school students who are writing diploma exams this school year. We have heard the concerns of students and others about the stress and anxiety related to academic achievement during COVID, particularly for high school students writing grade 12 diploma exams. I heard directly from members of my Minister's Youth Advisory Council who were very frank and eloquent in providing me with their perspectives on the value and challenges of these exams. They offered well thought out solutions, and I thank them for their insights. They, like other education partners, identified that diploma exams provide an important opportunity for students, particularly as they prepare for post-secondary learning. Diploma exams offer an exam writing experience that our current grade 12 students may not have had throughout their whole high school years. In fact, since March of their grade 10 year, many have transitioned between in-person and online learning multiple times and may not have written an exam at all. In recognition of these circumstances, the weight of the grade 12 diploma exams will be lowered to 10% for this school year. This change will give students the crucial exam writing experience they need if they choose to go into post-secondary, while recognizing the impact the pandemic has had on their learning. This afternoon, the Minister of Advanced Education and I sent a joint open letter to Alberta's post-secondary institutions to advise them of this change in the grade 12 diploma exam weighting. We are encouraging them to consider the ongoing impacts the pandemic has had on our students who are applying to their post-secondary institutions. I want to be clear that this change is only in regards to diploma exams. Provincial achievement tests will continue this school year, consistent with the 21-22 school plan, as they would in any other school year. I also want to provide an update on the delivery of at-home COVID-19 rapid test kits that I announced earlier this month with Premier Kenney. We had made a commitment to offer rapid tests for students too young to be vaccinated. Today, we are ready to offer those tests first to kindergarten to grade 6 schools across the province that are on outbreak status. These tests will provide a way to quickly identify people without symptoms who may have COVID-19. The tests are simple to administer and they offer results within 20 minutes. They provide an effective way to slow the spread of the virus in areas with higher case rates, which is why the initial focus of this program will be on schools with outbreak status. The program is optional, it's free, and it starts immediately. If students or staff choose to take part, they will get 10 rapid tests to take home and be required to test twice weekly for 5 weeks. Resources such as an instructional video and a fact sheet have been posted with other COVID-19 resources on our alberta.ca COVID website. These will help parents and guardians administer the tests. An important point to remember is that rapid tests are designed to be used as a screening tool for individuals who do not have symptoms. So again, a screening tool for those who do not have symptoms. Any student or staff member who starts to display symptoms of COVID-19 throughout the rapid testing program should still book a PCR test at an AHS assessment centre. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for doing their part to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 and everyone who has a role in keeping our schools safe. And I just can't thank them enough. I take every opportunity I can because they do a tremendous job. I want to particularly thank our students. I know the pandemic has been a challenging time for many of you, but I'm also encouraged by your resilience. I will now pass the microphone over to Lorrie Jess, President of the Alberta School Boards Association, before we hear from Dr. Tymensen, President of the College of Alberta School Superintendents, and then I will be most happy to take and answer your questions.
Thank you, Minister LaGrange, for welcoming ASBA to today's announcement. It's also great to see Cass here as school boards work closely with their superintendents. This funding, as well as adjusting the weight of diploma exams and providing at-home rapid tests, are welcome supports. I'd first like to take a moment to congratulate and welcome all new and returning trustees. This critical governance role ensures the success of students everywhere in Alberta. Throughout the pandemic, school boards have continued to receive feedback from their communities. This has included concerns for students who have had their learning disrupted as a result of the pandemic, including less access to resources and supports and shifts between in-person and online schooling. We are pleased that boards will have the flexibility to use this funding within their local context, as each board has faced challenges unique to their own communities. Each is attuned to where they most need support, and each has done a great job of pivoting as the pandemic has evolved. Boards care deeply about the safety and success of students, staff, and their entire communities, and will continue to have this at the forefront of all the decisions that they make. We have continued to hear from boards across the province about the ongoing challenges and impacts the pandemic has had on students, including mandatory isolation requirements, increasing student absences, and ongoing mental health concerns. School boards appreciated diploma exams being made optional last school year, as well as the ongoing consideration of challenges being reflected this year. Reducing the weighting of these exams is good news, as some students may have fallen behind while also needing to learn new material. Additionally, school boards appreciated the recent announcement of contract notification being handled by Alberta Health Services, as this allows boards to communicate efficiently and transparently in order to ensure the safety and success of students, parents, teachers, and our staff. Providing at-home rapid tests will help ensure support for young students who cannot yet be vaccinated, as well as minimize disruption to learning. So thank you again to Minister LaGrange for providing these supports. It is critical for the ministry, ASBA, and school boards to align their efforts during these challenging circumstances. Coordinating activities, sharing information and resources, and engagement will support the success of our students. I know boards will continue to make decisions with the safety of students, staff, and communities at the forefront. And as we deal with ongoing challenges, ASBA will continue to support school boards as needed, including on their school reentry experiences.
Go ahead, Wilco.
Well, thank you to Minister LaGrange and Lorrie Jess, President of the Alberta School Boards Association, for your continued efforts to support the interest of students. I'm pleased to be here today, virtually, or I guess via phone, on behalf of the College of Alberta School Superintendents. Throughout this pandemic, we've worked closely with the government and partners like ASBA to do what we can to support the needs of students within school divisions. We're certainly pleased that the new supports announced today will help younger and older students, as well as parents and teachers. Students in grades 1 to 3 have been some of the most affected by the pandemic in terms of disruption to learning, because that's a critical time for the formation of literacy and numeracy skills. We know that many of these students in these grades need extra help with reading, writing, and mathematics. And this funding will support the assessment, intervention programs, and staff needed to make this happen. This funding will provide flexibility for students' supports and programming and make sense for local needs and local context. Today's announcement regarding the reduction of the weighting of the diploma exam is another critical way to take pressure off of our students. This outcome will help our older students focus on learning while still preparing for post-secondary and minimizing the stress that comes from a high-weight single assessment at a time where learning has been adversely impacted by the pandemic. I think we're all aware that mental health has been top of mind for everyone during the pandemic, and we certainly need to continue to support our youth during this difficult time. CAS does recognize the importance of diploma exams. These exams measure student achievement according to consistent province-wide curricular expectations. And in addition to recognizing academic achievement and validating the work of the school system and teachers, these assessments allow students to measure and address learning gaps within the education system. CAS looks forward to working with school and system leaders and post-secondary institutions to prepare students for success beyond the K-12 system. CAS was also pleased to see the government support families and staff by providing the option of at-home COVID testing. The benefits of in-person learning, whenever possible, has been evident these last 18 months. At-home rapid test kits offer a safe, easy, and free way for families and staff to screen people who do not have symptoms. Schools are already undertaking many measures to mitigate illness, and these tests are one more way that schools are working to keep students and staff safe. So thank you again to the Minister, the Government of Alberta, and everyone else for being here. These supports will help our staff, our administrators, our students, and our school communities and families. On behalf of the College of Alberta School Superintendents, I look forward to continued partnership with the Ministry and all of our education partners. Stay healthy and safe, everyone, and thank you very much, Minister.
All right, thank you. We are now going to move over to the Q&A portion of the press conference. We have time for one question and one follow-up. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
The first question comes from Quinn Euler, Global News.
Hi, Minister. Just wondering, every student has been impacted by this pandemic. Why just focus on grades 1 to 3 with the funding?
Well, thank you. That's a great question and one that I asked as well. We worked with the College of Alberta School Superintendents and others in education where they really highlighted that it was these really early learners that were the most impacted and were really struggling to catch up. So this is why we targeted this group at this point in time. We're also waiting for the results of the Child and Youth Wellbeing Panel that was struck and has been working across the province, gathering more information. And as we continue to work with others and find more information and get more impacts, then we'll look to address those as we move along. But right now, we had heard very clearly that this was where the greatest need has been occurring, and this is why we targeted this particular age group.
Do you have a follow-up, Quinn?
Yes, I do. Just one. Minister, when you get those results, can we expect more funding to come from the government for those groups?
Well, we've provided funding across the whole education system to the tune of about $1 billion thus far in pandemic response funding. This additional $45 million is targeted supports for our youngest learners. I'm a former rehab practitioner, so I really do believe in early intervention, and these early intervention strategies are something that that we're strongly supporting, as I've said. As we move forward, if more is required, we will look at what those requirements are and how we can best meet the needs of our students.
Operator, is there anybody else in the queue wanting to ask a question today?
There's no one else in the queue at this time.
All right, seeing as there are no more questions, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.